Warning. The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And that's for me. And good afternoon, good evening. And I'm coming to you from a technology riddle problem. So if you don't see me well, if you don't hear me well, if something happens, it's because being on the road sucks. That's the best way to say it. But hopefully we can get through this using all the bandwidth I can and the best location and everything. So thank you very much for being here today. We have a wonderful show. Who do we have today? We're going to look in. The lock-in truly makes it hard for companies to make good decisions. Well, basically because you're locked into a vendor, and you can make it. So you have to use who you have. You have to dance with the one who you brought to the dance, and you have to make decisions based on what they offer and they cannot offer, and you have to make decisions based on whether or not you can extend it and things like that. It is very unpleasant for some people, and it's actually challenging for businesses to make decisions based on that. So I wanted to have this discussion with somebody who had experience on both sides, somebody who's been a practitioner slash a user, as well as a vendor, as well as an analyst who's seen it all, done it all, just like me. So I decided to invite our guest today, which you met before, Liz Miller. Liz, welcome to the show.
What's happening? Hi, Esteban.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? So
It's okay. My favorite moment of your show is after the graphic content warning. It just shows your face, and you were like, "It's perfect."
Like this?
Perfection. Just needed to say that. Pretty much, yeah,
Okay,
kind of, yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was like you were graphic content. It was great.
I am graphically challenged too.
Well, we know each other, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for being here. I actually appreciate this because I've been wanting to have this conversation for a long time. Vendor locking, do we love it? Do we hate it?
Is it wrong of me to say that it depends? Because there have been times that I've loved it. Because there have been times that I've been working with a vendor that was really eager, like, those hungry vendors that are like, we're just kind of desperate for a sale. We're desperate to prove our revenue. Like we want to get all these things. And so they push for the lock-in. And when you know it's happening and you've been through the rodeo before, and you know how to have the strategic conversation, like if you're the person who's doing it and your team's buttoned up and you're locked in and you know exactly what you want, and you feel that you have built in enough flexibility for the uncontrollable, it can actually be okay. However, if you're not, like 90% of businesses out there, I would say, are not, it can really be a challenge that ends up like the only group that seems to be on the short end of the stick is you. And that's a really frustrating place to be, because anytime you need something, the attitude is like, well, you can't go anywhere. We got to figure out how to make this work. And we're going to make it work in the confines of us, not in what you need. And there's a lot of frustrating things that can happen. But, so I think it really depends on who you've got on your side of the table, right? And how much work you've put into.
That means in your team.
On your team.
When you say your side of the
Yeah, I mean, like who are you working with? When you're looking at any type of technology, are you in a bubble? Have you created this situation in a vacuum where you're that person that's like, this is what I want, this is what I'm bringing in, I'm gonna lock it in? Like it's all about you and what you want as the practitioner for your technology to be? Or have you brought stakeholders from across the enterprise who are really going to be dealing with the impact of when this shit hits the fan? Right? Like bring those people to the table. So who's on your side of the table as you're walking into not only the fact finding, the negotiation, like you really have to have your side buttoned up. I mean, and I've been in that situation where I have been lucky enough to have that. And I've had a lot of peers and stakeholders and people involved in the conversation. I've also been involved on the other side. It's like,
like, what is, from Alan. Vendor lock-in is basically what happens when you have a contract that you cannot escape for a number of years, and based on that contract, you build your entire infrastructure around that vendor, and now the vendor is locked in because the cost for that vendor is going to be too high, or the complaints in the vendor is too much, and you have no option but to stay with the vendor. That's basically what we're talking about. Like, yes, I know more bandwidth where I am. It's working, but anyways,
Well,
so that's what vendor lock-in is. But let's talk about the part.
But I think also with Alan's question, a lot of times it's not called a vendor lock-in, right? So you might not, for no one who's been through it, someone will come in and be like, it's a multi-year guaranteed contract. And you're like, that sounds good. That means my price is going to stay the same. Like when you hear it, you might be thinking, wow, this sounds like a really good thing. So you're going to keep my price super low because I'm going to lock in this amazing price for these years. And so when you're thinking about it from that perspective, it sounds really great. It isn't until like year 2, you're like, oh, damn, I'm going to vendor lock in.
Well, so actually, that's a good point, because I mean, you don't realize it, but the problem with the vendor lock-in is the fact that, yes, you get promised a discount, you get promised a great price 3 years, but the problem is like out there implementing 6 months and replace 6 months later. All this implementation years to my technology, and once you invested the time and consulting power and people, and you might go on for it. I mean, you go with vendor A, you spend 3 years, and now you're going to go and replace it with vendor B. That's just not.
No, it's not. Yeah, you might sign the 3-year contract. You're in for 10.
Yeah,
right. Because
and then if I mean, I've seen projects. Yeah, I've seen projects that are in 20 plus years with the same vendor that they would love to leave, but they customize so much and they put such effort in training the team and have like certifications and everything that it's impossible to replace, right? So that's basically what vendor lock-in is.
And I think there's the explicit vendor lock-in, right, where you've signed on the dotted line. But then there's the other part that you're talking about, Esteban, right, which is that like you just got locked in well beyond that first term because of all the customizations, all the microservices, all of the extra, like it starts to grow and grow and grow and grow. And by the time you look at it and you realize, wow, maybe this isn't delivering what I either thought it was going to deliver or even what we contracted for it to deliver, you now have to go and undo 5 years of nonsense to try to even just peel back the layers of the onion and get back to what it is that you really wanted. And I think that so there's so many things that happen, and then just throw in the chaos of life. I mean, no vendor contract in 2018 that was being written for, a 3 to 5 year lock-in had a pandemic clause.
Right.
Didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
But
that you said, because you said something that I never experienced. You said it could be a good thing. And I've been working with clients that are locked in by vendors for 20, 30 years. And
I'm going to answer Esteban's question until Esteban comes back, because that just feels like the thing. And then you all can fill him in on it later. Or we can just start talking about random things and y'all can put it into the comments, and then I'll fill him in on completely the opposite. But when he's talking about vendor lock-ins and kind of the uniqueness of a vendor lock-in being a positive thing, I think the thing that he's seeing is that 20-year standard of where you end up so locked in that everything ends up being negative. And everyone is left with a bad taste in their mouth, and everyone is frustrated, and everyone there is no way to get out of it. And here he is.
Okay, so the technology fails me again because I have a vendor locked in with Verizon right now, since the
you're vendor locked into your internet. It's fine.
I have to use my my vendor locked in with Verizon. If it fails again, we're gonna cancel the show and reschedule and do the whole conversation some other time. Because my vendor lock-in is pissing the hell out of me off this point.
It's pissing you off.
So we have that clear.
But crazy now. I know. No, but I was
I
filling in the
apologize
gaps
for
of what you were
dropping,
saying,
but
Esteban.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
no,
appreciate that. What I was going is like, I mean, I don't understand. Look, if I'm going to invest, I make a decision, right? This is why technology decisions and enterprise tech take so long to be made. This is why Gartner exists, to like rubber stamp your decision by, it's guaranteed by Gartner that it won't be, with a bad vendor, right? Because you're making decisions for 10, 15, 20 plus years in some cases. I mean, there are CRM implementations of Siebel from 1995 through like 2000.
Oh, for sure.
That this still exist. And what, like in 5 years that you this, so they've been there for a long time. So how is the thing? I mean, I was saying before, if you're a large company, you spend $1 to $10 to $20, you have some power, and the locking is good
Yeah.
because now you're locked in on both sides. They don't want to lose your contract, right? And they don't want to go away, So Brent's working. So do you want to cancel this? They will schedule because it was doing great, and they internet in this building.
Well, now that
Okay,
we've got
so
everyone
we're gonna
excited
reschedule
about
this,
the
please.
fact
I'm
that there
sorry.
could be something good, we'll reschedule.
I
Hey,
know.
not a problem.
I tried
Not a
to do
problem.
the
It was
best
good
I have
seeing
with
you
what I
guys.
have, but unfortunately, I don't have a good place. Yeah, it's good seeing
Ah.
everybody
You
for
know
a
what?
short
Hey,
term.
it happens.
We'll reschedule this. I know.
We will.
I'm just beyond upset right now, but we'll reschedule. We'll do it another time. Thank you very much, anybody who listened. With my apologies, and we'll talk some other time.